All I can say, what a big pleasure it is to meet Will and Chris of Coldplay.
Hi Clint, it's a real pleasure to meet you too.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, you're welcome. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. So let's start with, I want to talk first of all about the first time I ever heard you guys. It was actually the Blue Room EP, the song Bigger Stronger. When did that come out? 99, 2000 something?
1999. That was our first demo really.
The first point I want to discuss is that sound that you had then is still pretty much the same sound that Coldplay have got today. And it's sort of a sound that I imagine most kids who want to be in bands want to sound like that epic, grand, warm. I think you call it heavy soft rock or something on your MySpace. Right. Did you have a like a template for how you wanted your ideal band to be before you did this, or did it happen accidentally?
I think any good band, it's you sort of plan it, but also you have to just accept what nature gives you. So for some reason, when the four of us play together, it sounds all right. And if ever we try and mess with that chemistry, or try and take it to a place that isn't natural, then it doesn't sound very good. So we only plan it in the sense that we know that we can't mess with the chemistry. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I mean, in hindsight, having like 7 or 8 years of relative success, or great success to look back on, can you look now at the elements of that chemistry and see why you are such a successful band?
I don't think it's possible to. I think we're still too close to it, and for whatever reason it is, we're very fortunate to have had success, but I think it's a very difficult thing to put your finger on, and all that we know is, like Chris says, that if you extract one element of it, it goes wrong. Yeah. So there's not really, that's about as much as we can kind of put our finger on. It's the fact that there's four people who for some reason make this particular noise, and it does well.
I find it fascinating. I was talking to Mike Joyce out of Smiths last week and saying that the Smiths are a great example of a band of 4 people who come together by accident, but it's almost like it's a God-given thing. These people are brought together for a reason. But I think Coldplay is a great example. Anyway,
look at the original Oasis. Look at the original lineup of Oasis. Yeah. Any one of them on their own is terrible. The same with us. Any one of us on our own busking is just rubbish. But
I don't believe that. I imagine it'd still be quite magical.
It's true, man. It's like a house of cards, So, cards can keep each other up and make something big, but on their own they just fall flat. That's how I look at it.
Oh, that's a good analogy. That. Do you ever get?
Analogy of the week for me.
Hey, that's Chris Martin's analogy of the week on XFM. Do you ever get the desire to try and do completely different forms of music? I know in your live set at the moment you're doing a sort of dancey version of a couple of tracks, but do you ever wake up and think, let's do some reggae or let's do some folk or something?
We do that, but we never release it.
No, we often attempt it, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's often in sound checks or in just kind of, when we're messing around, and it's fun to emulate, other styles of music, but it doesn't come naturally to us, and I think we're very conscious of always making sure that nothing is too pretentious or kind of, forced,
I want to talk about Brian Eno. Okay. Got to take this opportunity to talk about the greatest British producer of our lifetime. It was actually Danny McNamara that told me a while ago that you were working with Brian. I thought it was exciting because it's like the ultimate coming together of great forces. Coldplay is a massive band and Eno is a great producer. What has he brought to the What's he brought to the Coldplay table that other producers wouldn't have done apart from great Roxy Music stories?
Well, first of all, when you're in the room with Brian, you immediately lose any sense of ego because he's kind of more successful and more talented than any of us, so that puts us in a good place of humility. But then, because he's such a sweet man, he brings this incredible excitement and freshness to everything. So both of those things combined mean that you don't feel any pressure of like trying to be a big band or anything, or trying to sound like this or something like that. You just kind of go where the day takes you, and it's very liberating.
I've heard people say about a few, like Youth is a producer that people talk about in a similar sort of light as well.
Well, Danny's a big fan of Youth, obviously.
That's right, yeah, embrace work with Youth. Do you ever have any bust-ups with Eno, or is he not that kind of man? I don't mean bust-ups within scrapping, I mean any face-offs.
Well, you often have butt cheek offs, don't you?
Hey! I see Brian at my gym. He goes to the same gym as me, and I always walk in and I always seem to manage to walk in when he's getting changed to go swimming. So the first thing I see is
Brian's bum.
Brian's bum.
This is the best interview I've ever done in my life.
No, I don't think he's an incredible communicator, Brian.
Yeah.
And so it very rarely gets to a point where I think he sees things far ahead of everyone else, you know, months before everyone else. So if he sees something, you know, a problem, you know, he'll do his best to kind of to put an end to it before it gets to the point where it's a, you know,
right.
It involves an argument. But he's also very passionate about what he does, and so of course there are times when you disagree with, you know, something that he's doing, or when, you know, I don't know. I think he gets frustrated very quickly when people lose focus, or you know, when things start to drag on. He's all about the minute, you know, that flash of inspiration, and he tries to keep that going every second of the day.
Is it too early to say whether he's going to be doing the next album with you?
Well, who knows what an album will be in a couple of years.
That's a point, yeah.
We would love to do some work with him, for sure, as long as he'll do it. You know, he's a hard man to book.
Yeah, right.
He's busy.
Yeah, but you're Coldplay.
Well, but U2 are U2, and so we know our place in the pecking order. And then he's got so many.
I've got a question here. Who are the next Coldplays? Have you thought about that? Do you look at any new bands and think they can possibly do what we've done over the next couple of decades?
I think it's difficult to imagine what on earth music is going to sound like, or, you know, the actual structure of music is going to be. I think we were very lucky because we kind of came up at a period where our record company was happy to, you know, to support us, and we were allowed to develop at our own pace, and we weren't pushed into doing things. There wasn't a huge amount of pressure on the first or second record, really, and they allowed us a bit of freedom to kind of develop naturally. So I think you look at the way that, you know, things are going at the moment, and it's difficult to imagine many bands getting a second or third or fourth chance to make a smash hit album, you know, and so it is difficult. But like Chris says, who knows what how people will consume music in the next 10 years, and I'm sure, you know, bands will always write great songs, and there'll always be, you know, a space for that in people's lives. But we just, who knows what a good career will.
I think it's interesting that, Carl. I wasn't really expecting that sort of answer, because what you were saying is the environment that a band is allowed to be nurtured in is as important as what they're coming. It's all changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. You know, we have a lot of friends who are still unsigned, you know, and we eternally grateful for the fact that we got signed. But now it just seems more challenging than ever to break through. And even if you do get a deal, you might only have it for 6 months. It's like, well, we would have been you know.
Talking about the early days, do you still remember those? I like those shoes, by the way. Well, they're beautiful.
Thank you.
I like them.
They're like skywalkers, aren't they?
They're just, they are very unusual, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're nice. Yeah, the early days, like something about the country and a little transit band. Do you still remember that as if it was yesterday, or does it seem like a lifetime away?
Well, it's funny because on this tour we've been obviously driving everywhere because we're in England again, and because we haven't toured Britain for a while, we haven't been in a service station for probably 3 years since. I've been very much reminded of the early days because I've been having, you know, a lot of ginsters, and we've been, you know, we haven't been eating from the British service station for a few years, and now we very much are.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm 23 again.
Do you wake up some days and have to pinch yourself and, you know, I can't believe this is all happening? Do you have those sort of moments?
Yeah, let me just clarify. I think ginsters or ginsters is great. So do you ever have to pinch yourself?
Yeah, do you have those moments, or do you just wake up and it's another day in Chris Martin's life?
We just don't think about it. You know, we're just carrying on. It's all moving pretty fast, and every day at the moment brings its fresh challenges, and it's only when it stops for a bit that you sort of think, wow, you know, we don't think about the fact that we're playing the MEN today and that it's massive and that we always dreamed about playing there. We're just thinking, okay, well, it's 7 o'clock. It's time to have soup and stretch your knees, you know?
Yeah. You don't see the magic of it until you walk on
exactly,
stage.
But maybe around Christmas when we stop, we'll be like, oh, that was great.
I want to talk about those moments when you stop working, because there's one moment, I had it in my head, it was like maybe 2005, 2006, where there was an announcement made that you were knocking it on the head, and it didn't seem like it was going to be that temporary. It felt like it might be the end of it. Am I right? Did that happen? Or?
Well, it was after the Brits, wasn't it?
I always say that.
Right, you said it again. You said it again this week, in fact. Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
you know.
what I want to talk, you have actually said it this week. I've seen it written in somewhere. But anyway, so what I want to talk to you about is like when those moments happen. I know those breaks happen for a reason, because you need time to get, reassess, get your breath back, have babies, etc. When those breaks happen and things completely, when the machine stops, do you find yourself starting to have worries and fears that maybe the Coldplay moment might be over, and when we get back into it, there might not be space for us.
How do you feel when you stop for a bit?
Well, we'd stopped for 8 or 9 years in Spirals, and it was well and truly not ever going to happen again, and then it did, and it was beautiful. But I generally don't stop doing things now. I work at a pace that's quite exhaustive, so in general, I don't stop.
So we never stop. We just sometimes go out of the public for a bit. So that normally means we just go straight back in the studio.
Because when you went out soon after that announcement was made, it turns out that within months you were writing and recording.
We were writing the next day. I often say we're going to stop when I'm just feeling a bit insecure.
I was just going to say that. Do you have insecure moments, like, as an individual? Do you feel insecure? Because when we see you on stage, we see this, like, just one of the most amazing entertainers ever. I'm talking to Chris as an individual here, obviously. Does that Chris Martin ever sit at home needing a hug?
Well, I'm not the person to answer that, but that person is, I like that guy a lot.
Right, okay.
Because he's like all the confident bits of me.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Totally see what you mean.
Exactly what I mean, yeah.
I've been in that position. And
the same job.
Yeah. But I'm a family man, and it's hard to get that balance as well a lot of the time, where you don't really want to be away from them babies and stuff. To say that you are one of the definitive and most successful rock bands of our lifetime, you do have your fair share of critics, and some of those are people in the street, some of them are journalists or whatever. Does bad criticism and bad press bother you? Or does it just give you more reason to carry on doing what you do?
A bit of both, really. I mean, it's hard to not be affected by things.
Pure hatred.
Yeah. Often it's more annoying when it's kind of personal. It's fine. I don't have a problem with people not liking our music. There's human experience is varied enough to allow everyone to have their own thing, listen to the music that they want to, and that's fine. I don't mind. But when it gets personal, it's not very nice, and so that kind of thing bothers us. But ultimately, it often helps you kind of strengthen your resolve. It either makes you think, well, hang on, maybe that's an interesting point, and maybe you're right. Actually, now I could, these two songs do sound similar and whatever. Or it makes you say, hang on, you're wrong about that, and then it strengthens your kind of feelings, about, just polarizes your opinion.
Seems to me a lot of the criticism that you get is because you are the top of your tree. You're an easy target, aren't you? You're not. I think a lot of the people that have a dig at you guys, if you were still slumming around in a tranny van after 9 years,
a van for transvestites.
That's right. This is the next point. The image, the stage attire, Chris. But no, it's like if you're still slumming about, I think the same critics would be like saying, "Oh, they deserve a break. Yeah. Come on," you know what I mean?
My view on it is, a lot of the time they're right, and we can get better, and we'll keep going until we feel like we can't get better. I don't mind people hating us in the slightest. I don't like it when people lie and say we did something that we didn't, or we stole a song, or we were rude to someone that we weren't rude to. That's the only thing that bothers me, is when it's dishonest. But if someone says we're that's fine by me, and I often will agree and say, yeah, well, you're right, we can improve. That's our dedication to excellence. If you have a customer complaint, we'll try and fix it.
Finally, Manchester, you a fan of the city?
Well, man, it's been the best crowd we've had all year, so it can do no wrong.
And what about Manchester music over the years, Will?
Terrible. Hugely influential the world over.
One day someone will come out of Manchester.
Yeah. No, you'd have to have lived in some kind of vacuum to not have felt its, Manchester's influence on music it's certainly in our lifetime. So, yeah, huge.
I can only go by this, is that one of the key rules that I have in my brain when I'm on stage is, thou shalt not address a place where you're playing by that name. So you shouldn't say, "What's up, Oklahoma?" because it's cheesy. The only time I haven't been able to restrain myself was last night when I had to say Manchester, only because it just overwhelmed me, the character. So that's all I can go on, is it made me break a cheesy rule. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, listen, Manchester will love you forever. Coldplay. Will and Chris, thanks for talking to XFM Manchester.
But it's been an honour and a pleasure.
Thanks very much.